This will radically change the life of almost all middle class and working class Americans. Trump has been giving us hints and warnings of what is going to happen. I'm going to show you a video from 9 years ago, which I showed you a video from 7 years ago, where Trump said we're going to be on an even playing field monetarily before we know it. In this video, he talks about the gold standard. And now, as his team is being interviewed, they're talking about Bitcoin potentially being the new system. This is not a game anymore. This is real. We went from Bitcoin is a fraud used for money laundering, told to you by the biggest asset managers in the world, to now them asking, should we put 2%, 5% into our clients' portfolios? To the same asset managers being the largest holders in Bitcoin worldwide. And the top 5 holders in Bitcoin, Satoshi, who we don't know who it is, BlackRock, the largest asset manager in the world, MicroStrategies, which is now Strategy B, Grayscale, and America. And China is number 2 behind America. So what I want you to do is I want you to slow down and stop asking yourself, what crypto do I get into? How much XRP do I need? How much Bitcoin do I need? How much Solana do I need to get rich quick? And I want you to slow down and really dive into the systematic change that is actually happening. This is how we did it. In 2020, we could see very clearly, spiritually, economically, physically, financially, and America was changing dramatically. And what we did is we took speculative bets on the new infrastructure of the financial system. That made us millionaire investors in this cryptocurrency asset. But we realized very, very quickly that this is unnatural, the amount of profit you can make in a short amount of time in speculation and regulation phase. When we profited, we pulled money off the table and we diversified into things that are deflationary, that create cash flow and protect. Because the system now is changing. The old 401k and the old system of pensions and the way our parents did it is dead. It's dead. We're moving from inflationary to deflationary. So take a deep breath, pay attention to what's happening. They're giving us all the hints. They are hiding this in plain sight. So this was 9 years ago. I was scrolling through Twitter. What was the guy's name that I saw it on? Gosh, I wish I should have had this pulled up. But I saw a gentleman did a really, really good video on this. But I saw this clip on his Twitter page, and this was from 9 years ago. So he talks about the gold standard, and now we're going to tie it together around Bitcoin being the strategic reserve. You have Howard Lutnick, who is right-hand man to Trump, who is the Commerce Secretary, who is in charge of the Sovereign Wealth Fund. Okay, but pay attention. This is 9 years ago.
Bringing back the gold standard would be very hard to do, but boy, would it be wonderful. We'd have a standard on which to base our money. Great personality.
Okay. So this was, he talks about the gold standard 7 years ago. He said, we're going to be an even playing field monetarily. But now all of a sudden, back then, he was a dollar guy. He's like, I don't know about this cryptocurrency stuff. We had 4 years when he didn't win the election to mold us over. Then when he came back, he ran as the crypto capital of the world and Bitcoin because he saw now that Bitcoin is actually gold. I'm using Bitcoin as gold. I'm using it as a bank for my family bank. I will never, ever sell my Bitcoin. Okay. So this is President Trump's executive director says there is a space race amongst countries to accumulate Bitcoin. We view Bitcoin as digital gold.
Yeah, dive a little bit deeper into kind of the reasons behind saying what you said. I mean, Bitcoin, of course, is unique. It's a finite asset. There's a space race amongst nations, I think, to capture the value of this. Is that part of the administration's thinking in ending the war on crypto or the war on Bitcoin, kind of opening their mind to it? Like you said, sending a transaction across borders now can take days and many fees and different clearing processes. Bitcoin, of course, kind of fixes that. But then with the supply cap, I think it adds a unique element to it. Is that something you're thinking about of, we don't want another nation to front run this. We want the United States to capture the value.
Okay, the things I want you to take out of that first paragraph there, okay? Would be a paragraph, his first statement. Okay, remember, we're in an inflationary US dollar, which they're going to turn the printing machine back on because they're moving us to a new system. They're just going to deflate the shit out of the dollar. Trump is okay with a weaker dollar. He said we're going to be on an even playing field. That's why he's pulling everything into America, and it's going to be who's good, who's really good at production, okay? Key, what he said is, it's a deflationary asset. There's a fixed supply in Bitcoin. So all these countries, all of our countries that are over leveraged, that were irresponsible, Bitcoin can fix the actual sovereign debt crisis.
You or our allies? Just is there any thought to kind of the international component here?
And if I could add to that, I think that's in regard specifically to the SBR, right? Do we want to start acquiring sooner than later so that we're not front run to the party?
Well, I think that we made it very clear in the way that we structured the executive order that we recognize Bitcoin as being unique. And we've said repeatedly that we view Bitcoin as digital gold. And a question that I get from journalists all the time is, how much do you want? And I think that's really a silly question.
Listen,
That's like asking any country, how much do you want of any asset with intrinsic stored value? You want as much as you can possibly accumulate. There are stipulations in the EO. We must do this in budget neutral ways that don't cost the taxpayer a dime. But as the president likes to say, we have a lot of high IQ people in this administration, specifically over at Treasury and at Commerce. And I'm very confident in the leaders in those buildings to come up with extremely creative ways for us to accumulate. And we're very excited about that. And certainly we want to move as expeditiously as possible to do that. I think that there is definitely a sort of space race as it pertains to accumulation of this asset, no different than there is with gold, right? So we're very excited about it. I think one thing I'd like to point out too about that executive order is that we recognize the other ecosystems that exist, and that's why we have the digital assets national stockpile as well.
XRP, Solana, Ethereum, ADA, which they mentioned.
We want to encourage innovation in other spaces in the industry, but I think it's really important that we do recognize Bitcoin for its uniqueness. And like you've described, it's a finite asset. It's a commodity, not a security. It has the immaculate conception, as David has said, and that intrinsic stored value piece is there. It's been well adopted by the marketplace at this point. So, I feel like we're well on our way. I think we positioned ourselves to be, the Bitcoin superpower of the world, and we're going to deliver on the president's desires as it relates to that.
Okay, super important. Let's go a little bit deeper. I keep getting messages around Darkpool. So everybody's like, well, why is it sideways? Why is XRP not going parabolic? Well, you need utility, right? You need people using it. You need demand, right? We have demand from the banks now. Bitcoin is a scarce asset, but Darkpool is real. Behind the scenes, you can look up Kraken Darkpool. There is dark pools where these asset managers, it's over the counter, they can buy without us knowing, right? So eventually there'll be a supply shock where when all this gets released, they're waiting for regulation. That's why the delays keep coming. The delays keep coming because when they're ready for this to be regulated, when they're ready to have the framework, banks are going to come right. They have to do this, family. They have to do this. This is not conspiracy anymore. This is not, will it happen? It's when is it going to happen? And if you don't follow Ray Dalio, you need to study all of his stuff. So Ray Dalio, this is an article he just put out. It says it's too late. The changes are coming. I've been studying Ray Dalio since 2020. And by studying his information, it made me a millionaire because I didn't get caught up in the hype. I didn't get caught up in the emotion. I could clearly see that there's a systematic economic change that happens to the rise and fall of superpowers. Okay. America is buried in debt. We can't continue this way. So there's the first part, which is the phase of printing more money, lower interest rates, which is going to make our crypto go parabolic on the back end of the year. They have to lower rates right now, or they have to do a great reset switch. Okay. One of the two. And Trump has to get as much done as he can in the first year because midterms are coming up. So that's why he just went all in and shocked the system. And that's why you're seeing the sideways action. But now that these big asset managers and these big companies see, oh, they're all in on Bitcoin. Brad Garlinghouse is hanging out at the White House. Ripple beat the SEC. So they're buying on these OTC dark pool transactions. Okay. Don't think that institutions are not getting involved in this, guys. Okay, you're getting like the inside scoop. You're getting the inside, and there's only 5% of the population that has exposure to crypto right now. So if you're watching this, you're a small sliver of the population that's paying attention to this because they always get us drunk in the Colosseum. They bring the Trojan horse. They were clipping our coins in the Roman days, guys. So whatever happens with tariffs, this is from Ray Dalio, these problems won't go away. And that radically reduced independence with the US is a reality that has to be planned for. Trump knows this. The cabinet knows this. The White House knows this. Trump knows that the independence on the dollar is going to fade and fall. Okay. Everybody's buried in debt. Okay. So he knows this. So he's pulling manufacturing into America, and it's going to be a race to who's going to be the Bitcoin capital of the world, who's going to be the production capital of the world, who's going to be the energy capital of the world. And America is poised to do very, very well, but it's going to be bumpy. And guess who's going to get rocked? The middle class, the working class. Okay. It's going to be very bumpy. You're either going to own the technology, the new system, the new financial system, and be some of the richest families in the world, or you're going to be consumed by it. There's going to be no middle ground. And I'm going to play this part of this video once again. This is from ITM, Daniel Cambone. What is the Fed's new plan? Okay, so I'm going to look up this guy's book real quick after this. I want you guys to go read his book. But listen to this.
Long time these pressures have been building. I kind of compare it to like an avalanche. I mean, the snow just keeps on falling and the thing looks stable, right? That's how the economy looked. That's how the markets look. But, you know, snow keeps falling and the cornice gets bigger and bigger. And then eventually, you know, you get enough, you know, another flake falls and that's it. And it triggers it and boom, the whole thing resets. And that's kind of, it feels to me like that's kind of where we are.
What role does Bitcoin play for you in this equation?
Yeah, so as you guys all know, I'm a lover of Bitcoin as well as gold. I love them both. I hate it when people in both camps argue with each other because they're both right for different reasons. Gold is right because it's 5,000-year-old money. It's analog. It can't be debated, can't be debased other than just what comes out of the ground, etc. And so it's fantastic. And I own a lot of gold, and all my older clients own gold because it's less volatile and it's the thing that protects them. Bitcoin is a emerging form of sound money. It's a emerging monetary technology. They developed something called digital scarcity, which no one thought they could do. And I believe it's sound enough to eventually qualify as being a
So does the White House.
form of digital.
So does Trump. So does Howard Lutnick. So does Bessonnet. So does the gentleman we just listened to that's in the White House.
Digital gold. And because it's being adopted, they both enjoy the fact that governments are printing money, and so therefore they're getting more valuable. In the case of Bitcoin, it also enjoys the fact that we live in a digital world and adoption is growing. So right now, very few people own Bitcoin, but I think as time goes by, you know, just as in the beginning, very few people use the internet, and then we all use the internet.
Okay. So on this channel, what I'm working to do is keep you calm, to keep you stoic, to keep you out of the get rich quick mindset, the emotional part of the mindset. So here's how I did it. Okay. I got wrecked a couple of times in crypto big time by chasing pumps, by chasing, you know, get rich quick, by chasing yield farming. This was early in my career. And I realized this is not natural. Number one, there's all these FUD shit coming out. And I started to get really fundamental, really serious about my investing. Read the book Intelligent Investor, and I started investing in companies versus cryptos, even though most of them aren't companies, but I started to look at them as companies. Is there a real world solve? Is there utility? Will it pass regulation? And so what I landed on is pretty much the top 5 that Trump mentioned, right? You know, my biggest holdings are XRP, and I'm going to explain this in detail right now. XRP is my number 1, Bitcoin's number 2. Let me give you guys the whole breakdown. Not financial advice. I'm just telling you exactly what I do. XRP is number 1. BTC is number 2. I'll tell you my top 5. Solana is number 3. XLM is number 4. And HBAR is number 5. And VeChain's coming in a close number 6. Okay, so top is XRP, BTC, Solana, XLM, and HBAR. Why are all those? So Bitcoin is my gold. XRP is a transaction. I understand transactions. I came from banking. Solana is infrastructure. I have XLM, a payment token. Jed McCaleb left Ripple to start Seller, which is XLM. And HBAR is infrastructure. Okay. So I understand business at a deep level. I understand banking at a deep level. So I understand all 5 of these at a deep level. So I use my Bitcoin as gold. I'm never, ever, ever selling my Bitcoin. Okay. I'm going to use it as a family bank. Okay, so here's exactly my ecosystem. Every day, I dollar cost average into XRP and Bitcoin. So I have all my other cryptos. My bags are packed. Every day, I buy a little bit of XRP, a little bit of Bitcoin. Every day. Comes out of my bank account, goes into my exchange. I buy a little bit every day. Every single week, okay, there's a strategy to me. So my goal is to create cash flow, protect my wealth, compound my wealth, okay, and leverage it to buy more assets. I'm not storing my cash in the US dollar has 3% purchase power. I'm transmuting it just like the government's doing into deflationary assets that are going to be here for the new monetary system. So every day I buy Bitcoin and XRP. Okay. On Wednesday and Friday when I get paid for my companies, because from 2020 to 2022, with the profits I made from crypto, I didn't buy Lambos and houses. I bought cash generating businesses. I created cash flow and I transmuted back into Bitcoin and XRP in my cryptos. Okay. So on Wednesday and Friday, when I get paid dividends by my companies, there's two things that I do. I look at the market and I see if I need to, if there's a dip that I can buy. If not, I just put fresh powder on the sidelines, fresh cash. I buy into my dividend ETF strategy to create cash flow. So every Wednesday and Friday, I transmute my money into a dividend ETF that pays me monthly passive income. With that passive income, I transmute it. I put 30% away from taxes and I work on tax liabilities, all that stuff. I put 70% into Bitcoin, 30% into XRP, into deflationary. See, every day I'm buying Bitcoin and XRP. Every month when I get paid by the dividends that are created every Wednesday and Friday, giving myself a pay raise, I transmute that back into a deflationary asset monthly. Every month I have multiple policies. My kids have policies, cash value life insurance. We put money into our premiums, and when we profit, we max fund our policies. So now I have a Bitcoin bank that's increasing every single day. Every day we're becoming wealthier. If you look at the long term, okay, it's volatile, but if you look at the long term, it's crushed. Bitcoin's crushed, and XRP too. My XRP has gone up. I mean, what is the overall? I'm trying to do this really quickly. Don't want to make this too long. Sorry, guys. XRP has gone up over 479% since I started buying it. What investment have you ever invested in that goes up 490%? Okay. So I lost my train of thought. Oh, so on the monthly, my cash value life insurance, every month we pay premiums, our bank is getting bigger. Our Bitcoin bank is getting bigger. So I have a Bitcoin bank, I have an insurance bank, and I have cash flow. Okay. I have dividends paying me cash. I have businesses paying me cash. I'm transmitting back. I did not increase my lifestyle as I started to build wealth. I increased my investable income and my cash flow. I got really disciplined and really consistent. And that's what I want to help you do. I want to help you understand that. So what's going to happen is a lot of people are going to make a lot of money on the back end of the year, but they're going to buy stuff. You don't want to buy stuff that takes away from your family. Everything you transmute your money into should be adding to your future, adding to your family, or giving you the ability to leverage by cash flow. Eventually, you want to be in the middle of a cash flow bubble. My goal is to make sure all debts and non-negotiables are paid for by dividends or cash flow coming in, right, from investments. And that way the family is secure. It's God, family, protect your ecosystem at all costs, and stay out of other men and women's business. You're too busy working on yours. That's exactly my system. That's how I did it. Okay. Oh, I always say stuff and then I don't follow through with it. In regards to, like, I'll say, oh, I'm going to tell you his book. His book is, damn, did she put it in her description? Oh, the author. Okay. His name is Lawrence Leopard, and the author of The Big Print. So I just want to make sure I follow through with that. Okay. All right. So that's what I got for you guys today. Let me show you this real quick. That's not what I wanted to show you. Share instead. There we go. Okay, so to protect you guys from scammers, gosh, it just drives me absolutely crazy. We don't invest people's crypto. We don't have a trading platform. QFS accounts are a scam. I'm not DMing you about your crypto. I'll never DM you proactively. These are my ecosystems, okay? I have a free book for you guys. I go over all this stuff and I break that down for you. We have a Revive retreat. You can hang out with me in person or a spiritual retreat coming up in September. We have the Coach JV Academy. We've helped 11,000 people, coming up on 12,000 worldwide. It's the largest crypto community in the world. Education, market calls, live calls, community calls, Q&A calls, everything you need for support. We don't give you a fish. We teach you how to fish. I have a live workshop live with me, Coach JV, where you can go through a 4-week series where I break down my whole ecosystem. I get tons of messages on how I use cash value life insurance. I have my own insurance firm. My team is ready to support you. I would please make sure you show up to your appointment. We're 4 weeks out in appointments now. So get your appointment locked in as soon as possible. When you click the link, you'll fill out the assessment. It's a free consultation. My team will sit down with you and do a retirement strategy with you and talk about cash value life insurance, infinity banking concept, how to create cash-free retirement. You can move old 401ks, learn how to protect your cash in the bank. These are all the things and concepts that we actually practice what we preach. So I have my own firm helping you with that. We have a free exit strategy, so you can learn how to do an exit strategy. We own Merlin, the smartest way to track your crypto. I have a men's program helping men get their shit together. And then I have my clothing line, Refined Integrity. So those are my ecosystems. I love you guys. I appreciate you. As we always say, warriors, let's get your shit together. I'll see you on the inside.